shake your dreams from your hair. I'm already there, right beside you. So please, don't hide, just say I'll be there if it breaks, right beside you. Suddenly I know now how it feels. I no longer have to beg or steal. I can stand now on this higher ground, where love is just a sound.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday morning. Crystal here with Gecko Diva, and welcome to Coffee and Cresties. I am feeling festive today. We went tree shopping yesterday, so we got 2 trees. we used to have 2 trees. We had one upstairs, and then we do another tree, which was like the kids' tree that we would do downstairs when this all used to be a living room. And now that this has been converted to reptile rooms, we don't have the room for trees down here anymore. And we felt a little sad that first Christmas where we only had the one tree upstairs. And then last year we were like, well, why don't we just put a second one upstairs? So now we have 2 Christmas trees on the main floor in either corner on both sides of the TV. And we've had one of them is a little bit more, fancy with rose gold and all fancy and sparkly. And then the other one is our 80s theme tree. So it's more of a retro, multiple colors, greens and reds. So it's I guess the fun tree, I would say. So we were decorating last night, and I brought some little decorations down here today. Got my little ornament down here, got all decked out, and got Tim Hortons has the little Christmas cup now, so it's definitely feeling festive. And it's snowing this morning, so I went and got coffee at Tim's, and it was definitely really snowy, so it's definitely the season. Welcome everyone this morning. I would say the opposite of the weather that our guest is experiencing this morning is what we're having here. Let's see who we have in the chat this morning. We'll go and jump in. And we have Atman8657. Good morning. Thanks for joining us. At Gazem, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Got quite a few of you in the chat this morning on Sunday. Maybe having it a little bit later helps. And people are wanting to sleep in on Sunday mornings. So Mike's in the house. Good morning. Thanks for hopping on. Category 5. Good morning. Lots of people in the house. And we got Gecko Cove in the house this morning. Happy Sunday. Kristen as well. Thank you for joining. We got Breezy Geckos in the house. And what's this comment? Happy to announce my very first gargoyle pairing is coming to finally join the breeding ranks. It's awesome. Congrats. So exciting, when you have news like that you want to share. And Chris says her name is changed. Well, thank you very much, everyone who's in the house early this morning. I don't have much to share. It's been really busy here. Tis the season with Christmas shopping. I think one little fun thing that I could share is a little story, actually, and I should have brought one down. My husband went on this adventure to find Labubus, and he ended up was all proud and ended up getting a bunch of Labubus through shop, and then showed me that he got them, and he was all excited that he got them for our daughter. And then I questioned and I said, I think you have to get the Labubus through Pop Mart. I don't know if you're going to get real ones when you're going through other sites. And he was very much convinced that they would be real. And we just got them this week, and he bought like a box of 6. And yeah, definitely not real. Very convincing. So we had a little family unboxing because I know this we're really late on this trend, but we wanted to get something for our daughter, and then we we ended up just unboxing Labubus as a family. So I'm now proud owner of a Lafufu, even though I said I would never have one. And I think I'm going to put it in this room somewhere. So maybe next podcast I'll have it and you'll have to kind of spot, and maybe I'll just put it right up here so you can see it. But yeah, never thought I'd be an owner of one of these. And the hunt is still on. They're so hard to get your hands on the real ones, to be honest. But she was very excited, and she still brought it to school, and all her friends thought it was real. So that's really all that matters at the end of the day. And she ended up getting an early Christmas present. So that was my silly little story this week. But it's not going to bore you on all the fun Christmas and Labubu talk. We're not here for that. We're here for geckos. So let's bring in our guest, Heather. And I just got to find where it is. Good morning.
Hey there. Good morning. I can finally talk about my Labubu passion. Finally. Welcome to our Labubu.
Is this for real? Do you have one, or is he just making it up?
Actually, Breezy in this chat, he was able to get me. I think it's a real one. I can't tell Lafufu versus Labubu. And it's a similar story. Like my friend's kid wants one really badly, and he's like younger, so he might not even like know the difference. So Breezy acquired me a Labubu that has like one of the barcodes and everything like that. So hopefully it's real, but I don't know,
Yeah.
man. And the kid, I don't know if he'll tell. So
Yeah, and you know what? The some of the dupes are really convincing because the barcode will take you, like when we were looking at the comments, they're like, no, it'll take you to like pop P, like they'll add an I instead of pop.com. So they're now creating like these fake websites for when you scan them that it goes to it so that you think it's real. It's wild. Like we went
it's like
down a
Poop
rabbit
Mart
hole.
instead of Pop Mart.
I'm just like, oh my goodness. And then we started thinking, like what was really like big when I was a kid? And I mean, I remember like they had the was it the Tickle Me Elmos and stuff?
Oh
Like that was
yeah.
insane. But like now, like then you either had one or you didn't, right? And now there's all sorts of these fake options out there that it's so hard to tell
Yeah,
the
I mean, I
difference.
was a Beanie Baby kid big time, and my parents would get me the off-brand Beanie Babies, and I would not be happy about that, but And now I'm a gecko person, so
Yeah, we were at Dollarama yesterday actually, and my daughter grabbed. They have Pokemon cards, but they're in like clear sleeves, and she's like, "Are these real? Can we get these for my brother?" And I'm like, Those are not real Pokemon cards."
oh man.
Oh, yeah, I can't. It's a little harder to fake a gecko, eh?
Yeah, a little. You could try to
Maybe the
pass the
genetics. That's a whole other ball game.
oh
But
gosh. This is a het Xanthic, het Pixel, het this, het that. Just trust
yeah.
me. Just trust me, bro. Ghosts you, blocks you.
Oh goodness. So
Uh
how are you doing this morning? Is it warm where I would imagine it's warm where you are.
Let's see. It says it's 44 Fahrenheit out here, so above
Okay.
freezing, but I don't know. I'm chilling. I'm wearing Kristen's merch. It's a, you know, it's not bad at all. The sun's starting to come out a little bit, so it's
Definitely different
fine.
than being in a winter wonderland because
Yeah.
it is snowing out there. It was a little slippy to get coffee because I don't get my winter tires till tomorrow.
No, in California, and at least in this area of California, you can get snow for sure in California, but I'm down here where it's like, "Oh, there's frost.
Oh,
Ooh.
goodness. I think a lot of people in the chat this morning probably already know who you are, but for those who are tuning in and haven't had the pleasure of having genetics chat with you, or any chat about geckos. Do you want to share to everyone, how did you get started? So how did you come up with the name, and how did this all start?
The whole thing. So
Yeah.
my name's Heather. Sometimes I forget to introduce myself. My name's Heather. I go by Ley Line Exotics. I came up with that name because I'm terrible at naming things. Half of my geckos and pets are unnamed, and I'm just a giant like Dungeons and Dragons fantasy nerd, that sort of stuff. And I spend a lot of time in real life at areas that people label as like ley line convergences and all that sort of stuff. So I was like, you know what? That's great because I love like the arcane fantasy and spend a lot of time in these like reportedly like magical places. So sure,
Oh,
whatever.
that's fun.
The where the magic runs through the geckos, right?
I
But
feel like you have tons of inspiration for names there, though. Like there's
yes,
tons of
there is.
characters and themes that you could go on.
Ironically, I don't even name my geckos mostly after that. I name them after plants because it helps me. So that leads into my next thing, which is who am I as a person? So my degree is in field biology. I'm a biologist by trade, but I've been in the herpetoculture world. So I've been raising and breeding reptiles and amphibians since I was like 5 years old, basically.
Wow.
Started off with the anoles and all that. So I've been in the hobby world a lot longer than I've been in the professional biology world. But I did my undergrad on behavior and color and mating and stuff, and it was actually in fish. And then when I
Okay.
did my master's work, I switched over to reptiles. I worked on rattlesnakes, a federally endangered lizard called a blunt-nosed leopard lizard. They're endemic to California. They only occur in the Central Valley of California, and then garter
Okay.
snakes as well. And that was stress physiology and I taught genetics and herpetology, field herpetology, and a few other courses at a college level. So that's kind of my background. A geneticist, I am not, right? A crested gecko expert, I am
Hmm.
not. I actually, for most of my reptile keeping career, I promised I would never get crested geckos. I was like, they're kind of basic. Like I'm kind of into like, rare species and all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying I was a
You're
snob,
writing
but I
them
was
off.
like, yeah, I was a snob. And then I got my first gecko, which we actually included pictures of today. And I was like, ooh. And then the rest is history. So, but yeah, like, so a lot of people in the
Kristen says
chat,
rude.
rude. Yeah. And well, here I am. I'm totally converted. But like, and a lot of people in the chat know me from taking all of my background and stuff. I have a lot of experience talking about intro level genetics ideas and all that sort of stuff,
Mhm.
and talking about um, mating, reptiles, this and that. Just kind of a lot of topics at this like intro level because I used to teach, and so a lot of people, even though I've only been doing crested geckos a few seasons, I would say like. Um, a lot of people were for some reason asking me questions. I'm like, I don't really I will never pretend to know more than I do.
Mhm.
I'm perfectly okay with saying I don't know or let's look this up together and all that sort of stuff. That was part of my teaching process as well. But a lot of people for some reason wanted my input on things and just at these questions where I can certainly answer confidently. Like, how do you keep a crested gecko? They're very simple, so we can talk about that.
Yeah.
Um, what does heterozygous mean? What does homozygous mean? What is a recessive trait? What is an incomplete dominant trait? A lot of these questions via DMs, or I see them in other people's streams, and all that sort of stuff. So, what I started doing on Palm Street after, because I sell primarily on Palm Street nowadays,
Mhm.
um, what I started seeing on these streams and seeing in my DMs, um, I realized that people might want a place to go just to talk crested geckos, not necessarily buy. It's cool if you do,
Yeah.
but not necessarily buy crested geckos, but just talk. Like if you're interested in crested geckos, but you don't want to hold up a uh, a selling stream, then maybe you could go to a dedicated stream on Palm and just talk basic care, talk pairing ideas. I During these educational streams, I call them. I'll talk basic genetics ideas. People make fun of me for my whiteboard, but I love whiteboards and I love visualization and all that sort of stuff.
Let
So
me draw you a picture. It is helpful.
yeah,
There's
it
a lot
really
of people who are
is.
visual learners, like, I'm one of them, so I
Yeah,
get
myself as well. And so I literally will still draw
it.
out Punnett squares. Like when I'm thinking about my examting project, like it's so bad. I literally taught these topics to college students and I still go, hold on a second, and I'll bust out the Punnett square. So, I understand it. There's zero judgment from me about what level anybody's at or about what sort of reminders or you know um repetition we all need. I'm right there with you, even with an academic background. So a lot of people come to these educational streams I do on Palm Street where there's zero selling. It's just talking about a topic or whatever, any question anybody has, and we just hang out. And so that's kind of where a lot of people who've later become my friends have met me. And I think a lot of people are doing educational streams now, which I think is just like awesome
Yeah.
because like a lot of crested gecko people, myself included, are not taking leaps. I know we can't speak for you in this regard, but we're not coming from ball pythons or leopard geckos or other species that have a more intense like need for an understanding of genetic concepts. So this can be
Yeah.
the first time people are introduced to the concept of heterozygous versus homozygous, or what are alleles, or that sort of thing.
Yeah, and it
So
can be difficult to understand when you're new at it, and
yeah,
also,
for sure.
a lot of this too is new with crested geckos as a whole, right? So I find that there's a lot of people that we're all kinda learning together.
Yeah,
So that means
absolutely.
it's not like there's like, you can if you get in ball pythons, I mean, you can go on Morph Market, you could put in, "These are
Hmm.
the genetics, these are the genetics, what am I gonna get?" It'll give you percentages. You can look up, for the most part, you can look up combinations that are even made, how it interacts, and that kinda helps you kinda guide your decisions when you're planning projects for that season.
Yeah, it's
Whereas
it's
with
really
cresteds, it's
sport. Crested geckos. Ooh,
it's a
like
yeah, we're not there yet.
no, we're not there yet, and that's what I mean by double-edged sword is, like, it's both exciting and really confusing and
Yeah.
messy, and we're working with what is, in my opinion, a polymorphic species, meaning it just has, like, multiple wild types that you'd find, so we don't have this clean baseline to work off of.
Mhm.
So it's a relatively new species in the hobby, relatively. It's got a lot of genetic stuff that we're discovering right now, and there's so many combinations that can appeal to so many different people. So it's a perfect storm, in a good way in my opinion, to bring in a lot of people with a lot of different ideas and perspectives and backgrounds and approaches and interests. And so we're all learning together, and that's honestly the thing that's kept me on crested geckos, the thing that excites me about crested geckos. And I think we're like just getting started. So
Yeah.
I love ball pythons, they're really cool, but, like, you could go and put your morphs into a calculator, and even with, like,
Mhm.
hognose and stuff, you could just scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll and
Mhm.
scroll and see all these, like, morph combos and this and that, and it becomes like, an impenetrable wall, but geckos are
Yeah.
not as impenetrable.
Well, my husband would probably beg to differ. He's listening, and he's like, he just hatched a puzzle clutch just this week, and he's all excited about it because it was one of
Yeah.
the projects he's working on. He's like, "Oh, what's it gonna do with this?" And yeah, I mean, I find with the Cresties, sometimes you have to do out of the box, like think outside the box, with some pairings. And then every season you're like, this could be my best season yet. And then you hatch out these crazy looking animals and you're like, whoa, how'd this happen?
Yeah,
And
what?
then you start thinking about how am I going to pair this for next season? Like what would I didn't know it would do this. Like, let's see, what would be maybe a more complementary pairing. And you're always kind of thinking ahead. Well, at least I am anyways, and I know there's several people who are in the same boat, but it's exciting.
It's so exciting, and they have such a fast turnaround. I breed mine at a couple years old, and I feel like that's like lightning fast compared to some of the other
Yeah.
species I've worked with. And so I won't call it instant gratification. I've worked with rats and mice. That's instant gratification.
Yeah.
But they're pretty dang close for the reptile world. So they're so fun to work with, and there's
Yeah,
infinite
the
possibilities.
pigs are about like about a year old or whatever you could start. I
Wow.
usually waited a little bit longer, and they will start at 6 months.
Oh
So you have
gosh.
to separate them. But like, uh, I applaud those who work with tortoises
Yeah.
because
Oh my
that is
gosh.
a long time to wait.
Built different. Tortoise people are built different.
Absolutely. Okay, so, like, if people wanna listen to, your like, you're doing your education sessions on Palm Street, is there, like, a schedule to that? Is it, like, a weekly thing or
Yeah, it is weekly. It's much more regular than I do my selling lives. I always joke like I'm never selling geckos ever. But I do them weekly. The time has changed due to scheduling conflicts and stuff. And I do work as a construction consultant. So my schedule is volatile. So right now, the Palm Street educational lives are happening Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific, which would be 7 Eastern. And that's the
Okay.
current situation. I can't even promise that that's going to be. Oh, I do work Tuesday next week. Okay, so
So
it'll be
not next
happening
week
next week, but you know, it's just it's subject to change. So if you follow me on Palm Street, then you can bookmark those and they'll notify you. I'm toying with the idea of doing them on something like YouTube instead, just because then the VODs will be available to people and you can rewind or pause. And that's how I
Mhm.
learn best from lecture series online. It's not like I'm
Mm.
saying like, oh, pay super close attention to what I'm doing, but a lot of people miss
Yeah.
them and a lot of people want to re-listen and all that sort of stuff. And I don't want to edit videos. So that's kind of my next like thought process, but don't hold me
I
to
wonder
it.
if there's a way that you can stream it both on Palm Street, but also have a feed on YouTube at the same time for people who'd wanna go watch. Like,
Possibly.
you
They
might
do
need to
have
have, like, a separate camera and it's recording at the same time maybe, but
Yeah, Palm allows you to stream via OBS as well if you know that streaming software, but and so maybe you could kind of like capture it and dual stream or whatever, but
Mhm.
it'd be kind of like jerry-rigged. And I know they dual stream to Facebook too, but I never use Facebook. You won't find me on Facebook. So,
I think
uh
everyone does no longer uses Facebook.
yeah, sorry. I know there's people who are like I don't have an Instagram, I only have a Facebook, and I love that for you. But I'm the other version. So,
Yeah.
the best place to reach me, if anybody wants to reach me for some reason, best
Mhm.
place to reach me is Instagram, but you'll find me on Palm Street as well.
That's the one thing, I'm a little sad with Palm is that you can't go back and rewatch things. It like, I feel like if there was, like, an option, if it's, like, educational and not like a sale, that you could have it linked to your profile, maybe even for a period of time that you can go back and rewatch, because I do miss them. Like,
Mhm.
sometimes I'll be like, "Oh, man, I missed that one. It was a couple hours ago," and I was like, "Ah." Like, it would've been
Yeah,
really
it's
fun to
it's
watch.
interesting. They let the sellers do that, and yeah, I could like download it and upload it to YouTube. But if
Yeah.
you guys know me, you know I am like not into social media, not into like cultivating a following. I see that Gecko Cova say you can now dual stream on YouTube
There
through
you
Palm.
go.
That's awesome. Um, I might look into that. Or I know YouTube can allow you to like dual stream to Twitch and all that kind of stuff. Like you can do all that sort of thing.
It also
Um,
now is allowing you to do, vertical.
vertical,
Because
interesting. Oh,
there's a
cool.
new option, because I stream through StreamYard, and it
Mhm.
gives me an option now if I want to have it where they can switch it to vertical or landscape. And I was like, "Oh, I'm not hitting that button because I don't know what it's gonna do." So I'll have to do a
The
test run.
future is now, and I'm scared.
Yeah, I'm like, "Okay, I need time. I need time to, like, digest this and what this is gonna mean."
Yeah, it could
Yeah.
be scary to to change up the workflow.
Well, I'm not a tech person. Like, let's be real. Like, this is not my forte.
Mhm.
I play dabble a little bit in it, and I think I can make do. But I'm definitely one that likes to test things out before I do it.
You're the one with the podcast. I consider myself a techie person, but you're the one actually putting in the work. So hey, man, the proof's in the pudding. You're out here doing it.
I yeah, thank you. I try.
Hey, man, you succeed. That's my favorite podcast.
Oh, thanks. I so you sent me a bunch of pictures, and
Yeah.
you're working with some really cool projects. To be
Oh,
honest,
thank
like
you.
I was like blown away looking at some of these pictures. I'm like, we're gonna have to talk more on some of these
Oh,
things.
yeah. No, you were telling me some stuff earlier, and I'm like, I think I'll be importing.
Yeah, and we might have to do a little
We
swap.
might have to do a little swapperoonie.
So you sent me some pictures, so we're gonna bring them up, and we're gonna share some of these projects with everyone.
Yay. These are pictures, guys. I have nothing on my Instagram, so these are mostly like brand new pictures.
Well, that's a sneak peek.
Yeah, sneak peek. I'm sure I'll post them on Instagram after this. Forgive how yellow they are. The Sacramento sun is very yellow right now. And anyway, so this is these are the parents of my sable pairing this year.
Okay.
At the bottom is a girl who I call Shadow, even though it's spelled like the Gaelic way, like Scadu or whatever.
Okay.
There's a video game reference for you. That's from Elden Ring. Um, and she is a production. I got her from Ralph with Cresty Spectrum, but she's a production out of Jet Black and Rose Pink. And what I love about her is she hasn't really. I know the photo's a little deceptive, but she hasn't yellowed out a lot. So
Okay.
really, really happy with her as a sable. She's a great breeder for her first season. And then above that, I have a Frostline male that I got from AJ. He's out of Felix and Julia, and that's my guy Spruce. So these are the parents to the first sables that I produced in house, and I'm
Awesome.
super pleased with the results. They've been producing a lot of sables. Actually, the odds were in my favor. I know a lot of us have like some Lily odd stories we could tell, but I'm super happy with my first season of sable. So figured I'd show people the parents to my sables in the same photo. But we should have a lot more sables coming of age this coming season. So I'm excited there. And I
That's
think next
cool.
season she's gonna go to make some head xanthics because I really enjoy the sable
Ooh.
xanthics. You know.
That's awesome. Yeah, sable's definitely been something that, like a gene that a lot of people are really working with the last couple seasons, eh? And
Yeah.
it's neat to see it in different projects and how it
Yes, yes. I've got some red sables. I got some weird sables. So I'm excited for sable. I think we've barely scratched the surface there.
Yeah, I have not gotten my hands on a sable yet.
Okay. Well,
I
maybe
just
that'll
wor
be
I
in the
know.
swap.
I'm just getting excited about cat projects.
Hey man, like I'm super stoked for your stuff. I think like you can do a lot of stuff with morphs and all that, but the
Yeah.
normals, we're never gonna move past the normals, right? It's
Hmm.
it's always gonna be the base everything is built on. So
Yeah,
I
I
love it.
think it's also the mentality of eye on the prize, right? Where you're like,
Mhm.
I know what projects I want to work in. If I'm going to bring something new into it, there has to be, I guess, a long term like
Absolutely.
purpose for that. So I'm not on the habit of just bringing something in just for the sake of having it.
No, no. The crested geckos are a very there's a lot of people breeding crested geckos, and if we want to
Mhm.
do right by the hobby, in my opinion, it shouldn't just be slapping things together and saying make some
Yeah.
babies because we're trying to better the hobby, not just make more.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing the Sable project that you're working on. It's going to be, I guess, real high pattern with Frostline, right?
Yeah, I want to work sable into a lot of things, like we mentioned, Xanthic.
Mhm.
I think sable with like phantom reds is going to be fun. Sable with just a few other things. I'm trying it out with empty back because I just want to see how it behaves with
Mhm.
sable kind of like blooming things out a little bit. I wonder if it can kind of muddy up that clean empty back look that we were all after. But you never know, right? So
Mhm.
we can put it in anything, honestly, and the possibilities are endless with an incomplete dominant, especially. It just plugs right in.
That's awesome. And then we have, who do we have here?
And then we have going back to morphs, we have this killer girl. I call her Wisteria. She's from Brian who's geckos. And I love her, dude. She reached weight this season, but she hasn't put anything out yet because she's just kind of enjoying her youth and voluptuous shape. So
Yeah.
maybe she's a little heavy for angling, but no, she is with a head xanthic. super stripe, and so the goal is
Okay.
more exanthic empty back or super stripe style lily whites, and I am aiming with my exanthic projects to make nice looking hets, nice looking visuals as well. So she's really
Mhm.
a good part of the project. I love her structure and her pattern and everything. Thank you, Ryan.
The nice thing too is when we talked offline about this, but like lineage tracking, right? And keeping
Mhm.
track of what you have in your projects. And one thing I find with Xanthic, and I also see this with cappuccino, is with that morph, it tends to really blow away that pattern in the dorsal. So you are seeing a lot of animals that are listed as empty back that may actually not have, or head empty back that may not have it, right?
Totally,
So
right? Yeah.
yeah, so like tracking that lineage for that is so important because then you'd be like, there's the parent, here's the empty back, here's the super
Yes.
stripe.
Yes, especially I've noticed with Cap a lot of
Mhm.
jumping the gun on the empty back stuff, and so when in doubt, prove it out, right? Like I've
Yeah.
got some empty back caps and exanthics and all that sort of stuff, and yeah, like we have to look at the parents, and then did they actually inherit that copy of empty back or not, or this or
Yeah.
that, and the difference between homozygous empty back and heterozygous empty back can be a little dicey sometimes. So
Yeah.
I'm really gun shy to label something fully homozygous empty back, so on and so forth. So yeah,
Mhm.
it's always proving it out, isn't it?
Yeah, and then how other things interact. If you have tiger in there, that confuses
Yeah,
things even
yeah, and,
more.
God forbid phantoms involved too, and this and that, and
Yeah.
and like, if it's not a full pinstripe, but it's empty back, some people get confused and all that sort of stuff, so, yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, it's very lovely Xanthic. I love Xanthic.
No, they're beautiful. I was kinda, like, mad about them until I got them in hand, and I was like, "Whoa."
Oh,
Okay, I
night
like
and day.
it.
I have one here that's like almost constantly purple all the time. It's such
Oh,
a
I love it.
beautiful shade of purple. I'm like, I have a lily, and I'm like, oh, you're so pretty.
Yes, that's why I named this girl Wisteria, is because she was always fired down this, like, wisteria color, so I was like, "Whoa."
Yeah. Oh, nice. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing your Xanthic project too.
Thank you. Oh, look at him. This is Sanguine. He's in his lanky phase. He's kind of teenage phase, but he's about to hit weight too. I have so many exciting animals hitting weight this season. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. But this guy, he's out of Cool Common Crested. He's out of Chic times Fringilla or Fringilla, depending on how you read The Witcher, right? But
Yeah.
this guy is killer. We love a Phantom Red here, but whatever genes are bringing out all those ports, you can see he has so much texture to him. And one thing that I look for and emphasize a lot in my collection is texture. I love all sorts of weird textures, as a lot of people who know my animals know. So he is an animal I bought young, and he's a really good example of uh, buying young and growing out lets you get a hold of much nicer animals
Yeah.
than if you only bought RTB and all that sort of stuff. So people sometimes ask me for advice on how to get nice animals, and it's buy young and trust the breeder and the lineage, hopefully.
Yeah, and I think it comes with time as well. You kind of develop an eye when you're seeing the lineage like in other what could be, and you can kind of start seeing that potential. Like I'm finding even for myself like with holdbacks that there's some that I'm like, "Okay, I know you're a holdback," right
Yes,
once it
yes.
hatches. There's some other
The
ones where I'm
moment
like,
they hatch.
"I'm gonna keep you because you might really be nice."
Yep, yep. I'm still a proponent, as I'm sure you are too, of like holding it back and seeing how they grow out and all that kind of stuff, and they
Absolutely.
might surprise you. But there's definitely some animals where you're like, the moment they pop out of that egg, you're like, okay, this is something special. And I am one of the type of people who also will go to the shows and kind of hunt across the tables. And sometimes you find some really special animals in
Mhm.
like the most random places, and you can spot these little babies with so much potential. And some of my best animals are are no lineage show pickups. That doesn't mean we should be buying from like mass producers or anything like that necessarily. Like we still want to prioritize health and structure and all that sort of stuff. But sometimes you find some
Yeah.
gems kind of scattered around.
Mhm.
So
So
whatever you
what's
got to
your
do.
goal with a Phantom project?
With the red phantoms, there's kind of two prongs to my red phantom project. There's just pure red phantoms with a lot of portholes, something along
Mhm.
this line, and then I think my next photo shows the other prong of my red phantom project. Well, next photo. I just wanted to show a little bit
Right.
of that guy's texture. I want, but yeah, this is the next wing of my red phantom project. I think a lot of us know this look. Um, I think Red Rock Geckos popularized it, but there's a few other people who also got a hold of that project that Red Rock Geckos got a hold of, which is
Mhm.
that red like empty back phantom situation going on.
Mhm.
So, oh man, I'm forgetting the breeder's name right now, but oh, is it Gecko Rebels? Oh no. Anyway, so there was a person who's now no longer in the hobby that really refined this red pinstripe look. I believe from AC Animals. I should have went and confirmed that before I talk about it, but don't quote me on that. You're on the internet saying it, Heather, whatever. But anyway, so this actually came from not from Gecko, not from Red Rock Geckos, but this actually came from a collaboration between AJD Reptiles and Zero's Geckos. It came
Okay.
from Darth Maul by Red Panda, I believe. So it's an attempt to keep that red phantom empty back sort of look, maybe even possibly soft scale. Although I wouldn't wager any money on this animal being soft scale. But as
Mhm.
you can see, empty back will kind of pop that pinstripe out past the phantom. So just to keep refining that, breed a little bit of structure back into the line,
Yeah.
and increase portholing or whatever you want to call those white things on the side, introduce soft scale to it, but outcross it and kind of make it a little more hefty and vigorous and pop those pinstripes out a bit. So that's my goal with that
Awesome.
branch of the red phantom
Very
situation.
cool. I love red phantoms. I just love
They're
phantoms in
gorgeous.
general. So phantom
Yeah,
everything.
yeah. They're amazing. You can they add such a like weird wild card to a lot of projects. They're so fun.
Yeah. And like it alters the colors
It really
as
does.
well.
And
And even having like the het phantom in
mhm.
like I have some het phantom empty back lilies here that are just the outlines and the yellows and stuff. They're just so cool.
Yeah, Phantom is like one of those things that is lurking around in so many people's collections, and it's just so fun.
And now
Uh,
we this one when you sent me all the photos, this one I was like, "Wow, I love it."
yeah, he's making a little face for us too.
Yeah.
He's a dork. This guy's a big dork. This is just a no lineage. This is one of those no lineage things where
Mm,
just a cheap little guy, but I got him as like real small, and I was like, what is going on? Because me, I love texture, like I said, and there's something about this guy, man. Whatever it is, like maybe he's head empty back, but he's just got something going on with that texture. Um, so
yeah.
his name is Thistle, and he's going in my like little spiky project. And he's probably the spikiest dude I'm working with. Yeah, as you can see, it's not
Yeah.
just his pinstripe scillation that's really long, I guess would be the word,
Yeah,
but
he has side
even
scales too.
yeah,
Yeah.
his just regular primary scales along his side are very long. So there's something going on with him. I'm not the kind of person who jumps to a gene right away, like exactly like, oh, this is the thistle gene guy, and it could be polygenic or a trait that's been exaggerated through stacking over time or what have you. I'm not making any claims about that, but
Yeah.
there's something interesting going on, and I want to play around with it. That's what a lot of my collection is just what's going on with this. I'm just gonna mess around with it,
Yeah,
and I
oddball
think
projects.
yeah, and it just gets really funky in that reptile room. Super fun.
Gecko says fuzzy gecko, super cool. Yes, I
Yeah,
like fuzzy looking geckos.
as you look at geckos, he's also like very soft to the touch, which is kind
Yeah,
of interesting. So
awesome.
Oh yeah, and here's Oslo. He's another no lineage guy. He was kind of the head of my weird spiky project this season. He's also massive. He's tailless. He's like,
I was gonna say he looks pretty chunky.
yeah, I have small hands and make things look huge, but he's actually like a really big guy. He's like 60 to 70 grams usually,
Oh
and
wow.
he's
Yeah.
hit up to like, over 70. So he's got big bones, he's all that sort of stuff.
He's
But
a
his
solid dude.
yeah, he's solid. No lineage, so it's nice that we have a solid no lineage, but if you look at his sides, he has those like weird individually long like canine tooth sort of
Scales, yeah.
scales along his sides. So he's got a highly disrupted pattern, which I really enjoy, and those long scales on not as spiky as thistle, but there's something going on here. So just playing around with things like that. And his babies are already showing a lot of promise. He produced a decent amount of babies, and like even very, very small, you can see how long their their
Yeah.
lateral spiking is. So very
So
fun.
who are you like what are you type of gecko are you pairing him with?
I actually paired him. I wish I would have included a photo of her. I paired Oslo with another disrupted-ish patterned gecko
Mhm.
from Kristen with Cresty Works, and uh, it's really awesome. Very, very black, like deep black based animal with this grainy disrupted pattern. Not a pixel, but something
Okay.
kind of funky going on. Just really grunge punk rock sort of girl. I got to take some photos of her, but her name is Juniper, and I wanted another disrupted pattern gecko to kind of recreate this sort of disrupted singular long spike look across the sides. And so far the babies are quite small because I've been growing them in kind of a cold environment,
Yeah.
but they're very promising so far. So I'm very happy with that project. It's first season.
Very cool. Love it. I'll be excited to see some of those update pictures.
Yes, yes. I'm so excited. I'm warming up their area. I want them to grow a little faster. I'm overexcited now. Oh yeah, we're just on a texture train.
Yeah.
This is Aster. This is Aster. Everybody, if you guys pay attention, you know that Lily White does weird things to scales.
Mhm.
So who knows what this animal would look like without a copy of Lily White in her DNA. But she's from ACR, and it doesn't really show up in the the photo, but she has that like bubblegummy tangerine sort of look to her, and
Okay.
and she has from birth this very like spread out bubbly sort of texture to her. So I plan to breed her to as boring of an animal as I can possibly manage when she's ready, to see how this sort of thing behaves with a more normal scalation as opposed to like trying to emphasize it, right? It's useful in my mind anyway. It's useful to try to emphasize traits, but
Mhm.
sometimes, like Mike was talking about at your last episode, sometimes going back to basics and trying to figure out from the ground up how a trait behaves and is inherited and all that sort of stuff is really useful too. So not only am I trying to emphasize traits in my collection, but also bring it back to basics to see and experiment with how this sort of thing is passed on or how it behaves when it's less emphasized, and maybe how we could spot it in a
Yeah.
less exaggerated example of an animal carrying this trait.
Yeah. Kristen says working backwards is sometimes so much more important. No,
Yeah,
for sure.
Kristen knows all about that.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's neat that you're sharing this with the lily. The tangerine lilies that I brought in from Europe, I notice have very different looking scales. So not quite like this, but similar kind of raised scales.
Yes,
And I
yes.
also have a phantom tangerine that I brought in as well that has a similar scale like that as well.
Oh,
All
intriguing.
from that same line, from that
Intriguing.
same breeder. So, like, I brought when I got them in person, I was looking at them, I'm like, "These lilies look weird." Like,
Yeah.
not just the orange, the tangerine, but I'm like, "Their scales are not like the scales I have of animals here." And even, like, at the base of the tail, and then how the top line of the tail looks is different. And, like, just almost like a thicker scale. And I'm
Yep,
like,
yep.
It's kind of odd." So the hatchlings that I've gotten from the first male that I brought in, that had scales that look like that, definitely a thicker lily white.
Mhm.
Like the pattern looks different than some of the other ones that I've hatched. It's not as, I guess it's hard to explain. Like it's not as smooth and almost looks like a chunkier.
Yeah, it's almost like it's almost like their this is stupid. It's almost like their scales are made of like a sauce. It's like
Yeah, exactly. It's like you like dripped some sauce, splat. You know, like
yeah, or like frosting or whatever,
yeah,
like something like
yeah.
that.
It's
They're
really
just
hard to
slightly
explain.
raised. Yeah, and Kristen's in here. She and I are always like texting and going crazy over like scalation. We have some projects together, and just you could go down the rabbit hole with scalation. Like
Oh,
it's something
absolutely.
that not many people are paying attention to. And I think that's very understandable because it's a quagmire when you start wading into it, but it's
Mhm.
something that I'm pretty passionate about, and it's that's one of those lifelong projects. Like I'll never really have answers, but it'll be fun to play around with for sure.
Yeah, no, it's fun. Very cool. And it makes it like just the look is different.
Yes,
Like the way
yes.
that color reflects and and yeah,
Yeah,
no,
you can sometimes tell who an animal came from just by the scalation. Like some people cultivate a certain look when they're in their collection.
yeah,
Speaking of collections, I think if you guys know tigers really well, this is like a pretty archetypical tiger of Brian Who. This is
yeah.
my girl Acacia from Brian. She's beautiful. She was really sleepy this day, so she didn't want to fire all the way, but I that was one of my Flora Fauna pickups. I went to Flora Fauna. Kristen and I drove from Texas.
It's a good pickup. I can tell you that because that was the other one that you sent me, and I was like, "Woo, nice
Oh my
gecko."
gosh. That was one of those ones where I was on the fence and all that sort of stuff, and I have enablers in my life, and I'm really happy for that fact because I don't regret it at all. She's awesome. And I love me my tigers. I'm so appreciative of could geek out about it, yeah.
Yeah,
Chris and I be geeking out about a lot of stuff. But yeah, the tigers are something that people like Brian, like Gwendolyn Garcia, who's another really good friend of mine, and some people kind of took out of the muck, as the wholesale kind of animals, and they cultivated these beautiful looks, these bold striped
yeah,
tigers, that kind of like fading orange to dark that Brian has, and really elevated this kind of common look that you might see in a Petco or whatever. So you can whatever you dream, man, you can make it into something that people are frothing at the mouth to get, and
yeah.
it's amazing. So I have a lot of tiger pairings lined up next season. I hope everybody behaves and gives me some eggs, but yeah, she's just a very exciting animal for me, and I hope I can do her justice.
Tigers are one that I find are really nice, like really cool when they hatch.
Really cool
When
because
they're
they hatch
young,
so
like,
dark and bold and
yeah,
contrasting. They're amazing.
and then the next day you see they're like fired down. And you're just like, "Whoa,
You're like, "Oh, okay."
that's a tiger." Yeah, no, they're fun. I like tigers.
They're awesome, and I think they still haven't hit their peak popularity in recent years. Like, it's always sick, like, yada, 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 but I
Yeah,
think they're on the come up again, so I'm excited for that.
awesome. No, I love this one.
Oh, so here was my first Cresty. Um,
Oh,
this is Rubos. He's my first Cresty, and you can see he has something kind of interesting going on with his scalation too. Not as dramatic as Aster, but there's something kind of going on there that his non-lily offspring have inherited as well. But I should have issued a content warning for spot snobs because this is a pattern Dalmatian, and he's the cornerstone to my pattern Dalmatian project, which includes lilies, right? High coverage, high
mhm.
pattern animals, with some Dalmatian spots. He has the black type, bullseyes. He's got red spots and stuff in his offspring. I've been so happy with his offspring. They're knocking it out of the park, and they grow like weeds. So I am a pattern Dal enjoyer. I know I probably shouldn't say that in a place where people can cancel me over it, but I do enjoy them.
Hey,
But
you are welcome here. I have talked about pattern dowels for the last couple episodes. This is a pattern dowel podcast.
friendly, we're pattern dowel positive here.
Positive, yes. I don't discriminate against spots.
Uh, yeah, there's some people on Palm who like call it gecko glitter and this, that, and the other thing,
Yeah.
and
Oh, that's I love
um,
that.
I
Oh,
love
that's
that
cute. I
too.
almost want to make a T-shirt.
Yeah, and I think, oh, hi, gecko nerd.
Good
I
morning.
think spots have their place. That's what I'll say. Like
Yeah.
some projects I don't necessarily want spots on because they can visually distract, but on other
Yeah.
projects I purposely want them even on my harlequins and all that sort of stuff. So
Mhm.
this guy, I think for like a lot of us were drawn into the crusty sphere by lily whites, right? And so I'm no different from that, but he
Yeah.
also kind of screwed me over by drawing me into the pattern Dow sphere at the same time. So it's a tough project, the lily white aspect of it, because as a few people have noted, lily white does seem to kind of dampen a lot of the spots
Mhm.
on these animals. So his offspring are crazy super dowels, but it doesn't express kind of past the lily white as heavily.
Okay.
Um, so it's a long-term project getting high coverage lily whites with a lot of spots because Lily is fighting the spots so hard. So that kind
Yeah.
of stuff excites me, right? Something that's difficult, something that not a lot of people like. It's a little hard to move the offspring sometimes, but that's okay because I'm working towards my goal of super high coverage lilies that have as many dowel spots as I could possibly fit on them. So,
That's fun.
another long-term goal.
No, and it's fun. And, I've said this before. When I'm at expos, I find a lot of the pet keepers that are coming and looking for geckos absolutely love spots.
Yeah, that I everybody I
Mhm.
talk to says the same thing, and that's been my experience as well. And
Yeah.
the phantom and the non-phantom Dalmatians will get them, so they're adorable. Spots are great.
Yeah. No, I have one little project this season that was a lily dial spot project. So
Oh, that's awesome. I'm
yeah,
always
and
looking for people working on that project too because we can cross pollinate a little bit.
yeah, and the next season it's gonna be a frappuccino dal because I have a cap to put in with that lily. So so I'm very excited. Yeah, no, it's
Yeah,
fun.
I've got a sable Dalmatian. It's a super Dal. It is crazy the amount of Dal spots on this, like cluster
Wow.
spots. I should have included a photo of him. His back leg is almost completely covered in spots. So, you
Oh
know,
wow.
woohoo.
I think it's one of those things like when I first started breeding Cresties, like I was very much like, oh, I don't want spots. And there was so much talk about no spots, no spots. And like that first season is when I popped out the pixels, right? And they all like my visual pixels have spots. And I was like, well, I guess they're gonna have to grow to love them. And then as they matured, I'm like, oh, I actually really love this.
Yeah,
And then
actually, this kind of
I got
does
a
it for me.
Lily with spots, and I'm like, okay, I really do like it. So like it doesn't bother me. I'm gonna go with the
Nope.
glitter.
Yep, sometimes they're in a place that is very distracting to look at,
Yeah.
but usually, like, I'm not a spot snob at all, and we all if you've been in this long enough, and I've experienced this too, sometimes, you breed 2 completely spotless animals together,
Mhm.
and they make the spottiest baby ever, and sometimes I've bred patterned dowels together, and there's not a lot of spots on their offspring, and you
Yeah.
never know where spots are hiding. I have a gecko where when you lift her eyelid fold up, there's a spot
Mhm.
hiding in there. Are
Oh
y'all
wow.
checking the folds of your geckos? That's creepy. You know what I mean? Like, so
Or it could be on the tail, and it's a tailless animal, and you never
exactly.
knew
I
it had
always
it.
say that. So it's just, being a spot snob is a kind of cringe, honestly. I'm kidding,
Oh,
guys. I say it with love. I love you all.
we're just teasing.
We're just teasing. We're the underdogs here. Let us make a few jokes, okay?
And now we
Oh
get into
yeah.
this fun project.
Now we get into this, and let it be known that my statements on boba are just my opinion, not the opinion of the Coffee and Cresties podcast. Don't get anybody canceled. No, these are the boba line offspring. This is one of them that I produced this season, and if you guys know, boba is Chase Carmody. That's Zengex's name for the specific scalation trait that he's been refining and working with. Um, he calls anything from his animal puika, I believe is how you would pronounce it. I don't know. I'm sorry. Um, anything from that animal, descending from that animal, is likely to carry the boba scale trait. And I think it's worthwhile to define that line of scalation versus other lines because it does seem to behave differently. The hallmark of boba is that they hatch out, as you can see, this baby's young. They hatch out with that highly clustered, crunched up, rounded scalation. Yeah, and I tried to include a close up here where you can see it's especially present along the pinstripe there. So you'll see those rounded clustered scales, and people might say, well, I see that on geckos all the time. But the difference between, oh, that excited my pigeon. He has opinions. I see that on geckos all the time. But the kind of difference that Chase describes with this boba trait is that this rounded clustering effect gets diluted over time. The geckos
Okay.
still retain their rounded scales, but it's not as clustered. They kind of like grow and spread out. So that's kind of the difference between this sort of scalation trait and other sort of scalation traits that we see across the hobby. This clustered or rounded scale. So if we think back to my patterned lily earlier,
Hmm.
he has rounded scales, but there's no reason to think he doesn't have any lineage, but there's no reason to think that he's a boba scale animal, even though he has superficially what appear to be rounded scales, right? So these animals, their mother is from Puica, so I bred her with another guy to kind of see how the scalation interacts. So this is the mother. This is Primavera, and maybe she carries some empty back or super stripe or whatever the heck in her lineage, right? But but chiefly she's being bred for that boba scalation, and so you can see she does still have that rounded sort of scalation to her, but it's not as intensely clustered as
Hmm.
it was with that hatchling back there. So she's a really cool animal. She's one of my favorites in my collection for sure. But she's the mom to all my bobas this season. And this is their dad. This is Pochote. And you can see he has some sort of weird scalation rounding going on, but it is not considered a boba because he is not from uh, that Puica lineage. And so next season, the boba situation will be breeding Primavera to a really normal scaled sable lily white to see
Okay.
how that behaves with lily involved and sable. Not that I think sable necessarily affects scalation, but I'm just curious to see the difference between normal offspring, lily offspring, sable offspring, and sable lily offspring. And
Okay.
if you're curious about boba, and how it works, luckily Chase has been posting a lot on his social media throughout the years. If you guys are interested, he's done a lot of experiments on it and posted a lot of his findings. So he's been very transparent about that, and that sort of transparency has been um, super appreciated by me, right? It's
Hmm.
allowed me kind of early in the hobby to move forward with a lot more confidence, to buy his animals and know what to expect. So yeah, I'm really grateful for that sort of transparency of people who've been working with these projects for so long.
I think too, it's good to clarify the difference between like a gene and a line as well, right? Like I find that when some breeders are working on specific projects and they're naming it that, but they're naming it basically attributing it to their line and the project
Hmm.
they're working with, it can easily kind of snowball where it's like, oh, that's the gene, and then people are looking in their own collections or at expos and whatnot and saying, I'm going to get a boba, I'm going to get a boba, and then it kind of snowballs from there where you have animals out there that are not necessarily part of that project that are being called that as a gene. So like, did you want to say a couple points on that or?
Yeah, when it comes to boba and whether it's a gene or not, I definitely
Mhm.
haven't worked on it long enough, but
Mhm.
Chase has, and he's been posting his thoughts on whether it's a gene or a line and so on and so forth. But I think we definitely have to be, in my opinion, from the stuff that I've seen, I think we have to be really careful about jumping the gun and calling
Mhm.
things a trait, right? And an example that I've almost fallen prey to is, I'm not calling anybody out here, but Pixel. Pixel is so tough to work with because anybody sees a grainy or disrupted animal. Like if we think back to the animals that I showed earlier in this slideshow, there are a lot
Mhm.
of people who would label those animals like Thistle or Oslo as Pixel.
Mhm.
And if I jumped the gun and said, "Oh my gosh, like I have some pixels on my hand," and then I sold the offspring as het pixel or visual pixel or something like that because they have this
Yeah.
like grainy disrupted look, and I'm very excited about that, then I might even ask more money because of that,
Mhm.
which one should if they do have real pixels. But I've asked more money for these animals, and one of my lovely customers, love you, buys this het pixel, and they get a het pixel from Kristen, the pixel queen, and they put these two animals together, and they're not producing any
Visuals.
like
Yeah.
pixels, and they've spent their hard-earned money, their time, their passion and excitement on this project, and my jumping the gun and getting excited over labeling Oslo a pixel or something like that has costed uh, my customer you know a bit of time, money, and some heartache too.
Yeah.
And also, like, I think being accurate for accuracy's sake is also important when we're trying to figure out these genetic sort of mechanisms for these looks that we so enjoy. So I
Mhm.
think accuracy is important just for the sake of accuracy, but it's also important as a facet of customer service,
Mhm.
and being good to the people in the hobby, right? I get it. It's so easy to get carried away, or like you haven't developed the eye yet to know a pixel or a boba versus a whatever. But I think we should be cautious, right? You still want to disclose if you think something might be a cappuccino because there's lethality involved, but
Yeah.
but I think there's a way to cautiously approach that rather than just getting super excited and saying, "Hey, like I got pixels," or whatever.
Yeah.
And
No, absolutely.
yeah, and some people have worked so hard and long on Pixel. Like as a recessive gene, Kristen,
Mhm.
poor Kristen, has been slaving away, doing a lot of work, taking possible
Mhm.
pixels and trying to prove them out and this and that. And so it's also kind of a disservice to her to her years and thousands of dollars spent trying to work on this. So obviously I'm
Absolutely.
biased. I love Kristen. Um, but like, another thing is we're never gonna figure out how anything works if we can't even agree on the basic definition of what it is,
Yeah.
right? Like, you're never gonna figure out how a trait or a gene is inherited if somebody's calling one thing tangerine and somebody's calling another thing tangerine, right? Like,
Yeah.
obviously, these 2 aren't gonna be compatible, or gonna be useful to feed data to one another if they're defined differently. So, that's where, like, not only my academic background helps, but just like people who are used to troubleshooting and problem solving know that the definition is the first step. So, um,
Absolutely.
you could say, "Oh, you're splitting hairs," or "It's about your ego," or whatever. It's like, well, you can't work on anything if you don't define it. So, I think
No,
we should listen
that's true.
to people when they define traits they're working on.
Absolutely. We got pretty xanthic.
Xanthic Sable. This is
Ooh.
Elabor. He did not want to fire this day. But he gets like black. This one's from White Tank Exotics. And uh, I think he's one of the few people producing a decent amount of Sable Xanthics this season. So I had to grab one from him because uh, when it comes to recessive genes, having that that head start into the project can really help and put you years forward. But I love sables and I love xanthics, so call me a morph chaser if you want, but if that makes me wrong, I don't want to be right because look at
Yeah.
that.
This is more important than what
Yeah, look
everyone
at
thinks.
look at that.
Look at
And
that.
that white is white. When you put those two genes together that affect that white pattern, oof, it's so tasty.
Yeah, so pretty and crisp.
Yep, yep. There's nothing more to say about this. It's just,
Yeah.
look at
No, I
that.
love it. It's so pretty.
Oh, yeah. So I wanted to put a few of my own productions in here. This is an example of why describing different forms or versions of things might be useful. This animal, she came from a very, very hypo to very, very hypo pairing, right? You might call
Okay.
them pinks, you might call them lavenders, whatever you want to call them. They're very light animals, and this animal is like, I don't know, 10-ish grams, and has popped them. Like, she actually fires brighter red than this. And like, how does hypo work? How are there multiple forms of hypo? You talk about this, like, if anybody claims to know how hypo works in crested geckos, I fear they might be lying, or they're keeping a lot of secrets from us, because I don't think we've even started to crack this nut right on hypo. So,
I think
um,
Quincy, if you're still in here, I know you're big on hypo.
yeah, man. Hey, if you want to talk hypo,
Share that
get
knowledge.
yeah, get on the after dark with Crystal and let's
We
talk
did
hypo.
do one. Did we do a hypo one?
I
I
don't
feel like
think
we
so,
did a
man.
hypo one. I don't know which. No, hold on. Now I'm forgetting which ones we did. We
I'm
did
forgetting
empty
too. I
back and
watch them and I don't
phantom.
even remember.
That's what it was. We did an empty back one and we did phantom.
Yeah, so you need to do a hypo
We
one
need to
because
do a
I need
hypo
to
one.
hear I need to hear people's opinions on hypo. And that's my thing, is like, a lot of people make a lot of different claims on how things work, and I'm open to all of them, right? Because if
Hmm.
anybody claims they know exactly how something works, like, I don't know, man. Like, there's a
Yeah.
lot going on. There's so many moving parts in genetics. I was telling you that for my master's, I worked on epigenetics, which is about the folding of the DNA expressing or causing changes in expression, which is separate from the actual genetic code, right?
Hmm.
So you could get so deep into genetics and not even scratch the surface. So you know,
Absolutely.
these are living things with how many millions of base pairs in their genes. So,
And we spoke about hypo offline as well. Like a perfect example when you're seeing hypo with like ball pythons. I mean, there are
Mhm.
different lines, like versions of hypo. We have the regular hypo. You see like kind of the green ghosts, the orange ghosts, and they're not compatible. So you still get that hypo look when you're having two copies of the genes because it is recessive. And but if you do a green ghost to an orange ghost, you're not getting a visual. Like they end up being at that point double hets, right? If you're doing a visual to a visual. So at the end of the day, um, I think there's a lot more work that needs to be done with hypo animals with geckos because I mean when you're seeing the problem is you get into a situation where you have something like cold fusion, right? Where you're seeing like this beautiful blue animals, and then someone will buy a cold fusion and then they're disappointed when they're trying to work it in some of their projects because they're not getting that same outcome. And it's just like, how does that gene work? What's the like what made that animal what it was? What were the genes at play and whether or not they're
Totally,
compatible with others. Like there's so many
totally.
things that you have to think about.
Yeah, and like even polygenic like phenotypes alone are just like
Mhm.
a mess. And another really huge factor when it comes to crested geckos as a difficult like species to work with in this question is they fire up and down so
Yeah.
dramatically.
Yeah.
Like, I posted on my Instagram, I have a girl named Seraphim who I thought she was like the palest lavender on the planet, right?
Mhm.
Like I know we can't be expected to hover over our geckos 24/7, but I had raised this gecko up from a thing and I'd never seen her fire at all. I thought she was like a
Mhm.
lavender and white. And then one day I switched her enclosures and I caught her fired. I was like, I've never seen you like this. You're a
Yeah.
tricolor. And like, so that's another like huge uh um exasperating thing that makes hypo so hard to work with. All reptiles and amphibians fire up and down. Even
Mhm.
rattlesnakes, the rattlesnakes I worked with fire up and down very dramatically. But geckos like are very dramatic with it, so it can be
Yeah.
tough.
And I want to correct what I'm saying. I'm not saying by any means it's like ball pythons or that like, hypos or recessive thing or anything. Off the record, I'm not saying that.
She
Or sorry,
said,
on the record.
correction, instant
Not
correction.
making up genes or how they work. I'm just saying like there's factors that, we have to consider when, it's the
Yeah.
same thing when you're seeing people working with pink animals and you gave a perfect example, like you could put a pink and a pink or a pink and a lavender and then you get a bright, red animal. And
Yep.
so,
Yep. And across the board, what these guys have produced this season, if you work with red, you know how it is. These guys haven't had a cardboard phase. They just kind of go straight into red, and their bases pop in and screaming really early. Um,
wow.
I'm gonna hold them back and grow them out and see, because some people have told me that they've had their pinks or their hypos or whatever, um, like they were bright babies, and then they just, as they hit adulthood, really toned it down. What is that? Is that a different form of hypo? Is that just a quirk of that line, or like what is it,
Mhm.
right? So I don't know, man. I will. Dunning Kruger effect is real big in the Cressy hobby and in the reptile hobby in general. So I'm not going to pretend I'm an expert at anything, right? That's
Yeah.
always the asterisk on what I'm saying.
No, absolutely.
Oh yeah, this is a solid empty bag. What else is there to say? um, Empty bag is a whole other thing, but this is Salix. He's from Treehouse. He's an animal that I would visually label homozygous empty back, right? I don't know. What's your
Mhm.
opinion? Like,
Well, and that's something we talked about as well. Like, if there's any tigering involved or whatever, sometimes that can kind of pull some of the pattern in. Or,
yeah, yeah,
but
sure.
but then you said you had these pictures of the hatchlings.
Yeah, these are the hatchlings. So, if I didn't include a picture of the mom because I don't know, I'm silly. And the mom is on my Instagram. Her name is Catalpa, and she was sold to me as a homozygous empty back. That guy was sold to me as a homozygous empty back, for the most part. And then these are the offspring, right? They both have
Mhm,
empty-ish backs, and
mhm.
these are, to be fair, I chose like the least empty backs to show people, but these are animals that um I feel pretty comfortable to say like would only be carrying one copy of the empty bag. Only,
Yeah,
you know what I
and
mean?
even the bottom when you have the little double dash on the tail,
Yeah, they got the
the
dashes
little
and all that
equal
sort of stuff.
sign.
Little sign, little marker, little hut marker.
Yeah.
But but yeah, so sometimes you just gotta prove it out and see what comes out, and then maybe breed these to something else. But this picture also does double duty because I've been running. Ugh, I'm almost done with it. It is a pain in the ass, but I've been running a little experiment, a feeding experiment, because back when I started this, a lot of people were switching over from Pangea growth and breeder to Vital Meal,
Mhm.
and I'd been seeing a lot of really positive anecdotes from people. Oh, they clean their bowls, which I'd clean my bowl of pizza too, but I don't know if that's good for me, and and all that sort of stuff. But the ingredients were promising and all that sort of stuff. And before I wanted to really um, fully switch over, I wanted to do a little bit of feeding experiments. So I took clutch mates, right? To try to
Mhm.
account for genetics, I took clutch mates and I fed one sibling randomly assigned one sibling. All of their crested gecko diet would be vital meal mixed the same way every time, to the same consistency, with the same proportion of vital meal insect and vital meal fruit and water. And then the other sibling would get the closest uh, what's the word I'm looking for? You know how they have the protein and the this and that.
Yeah,
So
the closest ratio to, like,
the
the same,
closest analysis,
analysis, yeah.
break down the equivalent, right? So insect, the equivalent or vital meal insect, the equivalent from Pangea is the growth and breeder, and vital meal fruit, the closest equivalent is fig and insects.
Okay.
So I mixed similar proportions and similar ratios of water to powder to this, and they, luckily for me, they formed a very similar consistency diet. And I mixed the diets the same way and fed them at the same time at the same amount throughout their life. And then when I would feed them crickets, this is the part that, oh my God, when I feed them crickets, I would size match their crickets and feed them the same amount of
Oh,
crickets. And like,
so
it,
much
it
time.
was so much time and energy and,
Yeah.
and oh my God, it was, why did I do this to myself? I used to be a National Science Foundation fellow, and now I do this for free. Anyway, so spend all my free time doing this. Um, and so it's been, I don't even know how many months. It's been, I don't know, 6 months. They're growing slow because I'm keeping them like I have had a low cricket supply this season, and
Mhm,
also I'm keeping them in kind of a cold corner of my room. So that's on
mhm.
me, right? But it's getting to the end of my experiment, and I've been trying to keep my eyes off the data and the difference between the siblings for a long time, but it's been weigh-in season right now, so I'll do a final weigh-in, and then I'll do statistical analysis to the best of my ability
Well,
without
fun.
my statistical software. But as you can see, do you have a guess on which one was fed Vital and which one was fed Pangea?
No clue,
No
honestly.
clue. No clue. Yeah,
I'll put in a random guess that the bottom one was Vital Meal.
yeah, and you'd be right. We did this on one of my educational streams where I was pulling out the geckos and having people guess which ones were which, and
Mhm.
um it wasn't across the board, which shows the need for sample size and repetition and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Um but generally, anecdotally so far, just at first look, the vital meal was like, I don't know, 80-ish% of the time producing a heavier bodied gecko.
Okay.
And even if you visually couldn't, like, at a glance tell the difference between which one was fed which treatment when the weigh-in happened, um, generally the vital meal fed animal was heavier, right? More
Oh,
dense.
wow. Hmm.
So, and what does that mean? Does it mean that they have more muscle mass? Does it mean they have more bone density? I can't say, right?
Mhm.
And there's a lot of possible uh, confounding factors, like whether one of them would take insects earlier than the other, and this, that, and the other thing. And so again, it's a reason to have sample size to try to account for these random things that happen to our individual treatments and all that sort of stuff. And
Mhm.
it's also, I use it as a cautionary tale for people, because a lot of people have one thing happen with one gecko, and then they go online and they post about it. Guys, like,
Yeah.
this caused this to happen with my animal, and then it gets picked up. And I've been in the hobby a long time. Like, I've been in the
Mhm.
hobby 20 plus years, and it's been the same. It's not anything new, but people get on the forums and they, post, "Oh my gosh, you guys, when I fed this to my animal, like, it died the next day," or and all that kind of stuff. And that could be a real cause and effect, or it could be complete coincidence, or it could be a lack of information based, like, on the breeder and all that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
um like, people sometimes will post about floppy tail, and then you go look at the animal and you're like, that animal has a deformed spine. This is not a floppy tail issue. This is a
Mhm.
spinal deformity issue. And this is just a new person who doesn't know what a spinal deformity looks like at this point.
Yeah.
So just I take in information, take in the what people are telling you, but remember, they aren't performing studies. Like, they don't have a big sample size. Like,
Mhm.
these are anecdotes and treat them as such. So I try to, like, explain stuff like that so we can all be very conscientious of what we're looking at when we see a forum post or when we see an Instagram post about something. We should share
Absolutely.
information, but remember that it is just one instance and we don't know exactly what's going on, right? Unless it's
Mhm.
happening across everybody's collection. So just be careful.
Well, and they can it can take off so quickly. Like, we've
Yeah.
seen that even recently, not so long ago, where there was one on Pangea, right, where everyone had
Yes.
a huge scare with that. So and then the actual story or the information that started the discussion in the first place gets lost in all of that.
Yes, isn't that interesting? Yeah,
Yeah.
and when we all feed, like, I think a lot of us at some point have fed Pangea Growth and Breeder, and if
Mhm.
it's just something that's so common across the hobby and something happens to somebody's collection, like,
Mhm.
well, of course Pangea is involved. We all feed Pangea, but think about, one or two people having something happen versus the huge breadth of the hobby. There's a couple possible explanations. Pangea is not involved at all, or it was a bad batch, or
Mhm.
just think about the grand scheme of things. So it's
And
really easy.
I think
Yeah.
something that people don't talk about enough is the water,
Yeah,
because
water.
you'll hear people that have really great success with certain flavors, and other people will have better success with other flavors. And the one thing I always kind of think about is, well, what type of water are you using to mix the food? And does it change the taste profile? Or even if in an instance where you're having, sick animals or whatever in someone's collection, is there something maybe with the water that you're using? Like there's so many other factors that can come into play.
Totally, totally. And I use tap water to
Mhm.
mix my diet. Don't cancel me or anything. But
Mhm.
like I used to do like water stuff for my job, and like as everybody knows, like tap water tastes completely different due to different like mineralization and all that sort of stuff across
Mhm.
different wells and this and that. So like who knows if any of those minerals are even like binding with portions of the components of the diet, and changing like what's available. Like I don't know, man. Like if we wanted to be,
Yeah.
yeah, like hard water versus soft water. If we wanted to
Yeah.
be super careful, we would be using DI water to mix our stuff. But sometimes even DI
Yeah.
water can bind with, because of how like hungry it is for certain ions, it can bind with
Yeah.
aspects of the food. So who
Well,
knows,
and that's
man?
the
Like
thing, like, we have hard we're on a well here, we have hard water. I like to say my water is, like, the best tasting water around, you know? Like, we don't need a softener for our water, whereas other houses may have a softener in their water. But in our case, like, we test our water every spring. It gets tested because, it's fine in the winter, everything's frozen, but when everything thaws and you got to think about, okay, where are you getting runoff from somewhere? You have to test it. And at that point, like, I'm using bottled water because I want to make sure that my water gets tested first, because you never know, right? So,
yeah,
and
totally.
those are the things that sometimes people may forget about or not be fully aware.
Yeah.
Like if you're in the city, I know people who are in the city, they use bottled water to mix their food because they don't want to use, their tap water because it's city water, or, like, so there's different factors that can definitely come into play.
Yeah, we get our horse blinders on, and we've been, you know, for all our animals using tap water, or using a specific brand of cleaner or this or that. Like we do so many things to these
Mhm.
animals and their environment, and it's just not even on our radar because it's something so baked into our routine. And yeah, so a
Mhm.
lot of fresh perspectives or talking to other people and stuff like that can be really helpful. But yeah, a lot of people are not thinking about factors like that, so just
Absolutely.
be
And
very
we got
careful.
one last picture that's not a
Yeah.
Crestie.
Anyway, yeah, I do other things other than Cresties too. I this guy was a pickup. I think I saw him in chat. Yeah, there he is. White Tank Exotics actually made this. I don't know why you sold this, Andrew, but yeah. Anyway, so he's going male, so that's nice. They call him Acer, but yeah, I have gargoyles too. I've been breeding Uris, and I also keep like snakes and frogs and all that sort of stuff. I breed rats as well, so I call myself exotics, not just because of I don't just do crested geckos, but they're obviously my focus. But I do have
Mhm.
a small little group of gargs. Um, and I really enjoy them as well. They're very different from crested geckos in some ways, but you can keep them in the same room. And yeah, you can buy them small too. Because look at this guy. I bought him real small. He really bloomed into something, and he's not
That's
that big. My
beautiful.
hands again
Yeah.
are not that big, so
Oh,
yeah, I do have things
awesome.
too. But yeah.
That's cool. So do you have a project that you're most excited about for like next season? Or something new,
Mm,
or something you want that you even wanna share? Because
yeah.
you could be right in the
So
demo.
it's all just so I'm excited for my tigers. I'm fine. I'm just there's some animals that I'm really happy made weight, right? So
Mhm.
those sort of stuff. I do really fun tricolors and empty backs and all that kind of stuff. But I'm just most excited for my experimental pairings, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I have been going on with Kristen and they've been locking, and so I'm excited for that. And my scalation stuff is just where a lot of my passion lies. So I think a lot of us have that, are kind of white whale or white whales that they might not photograph the best or drive the most engagement or get the most wows when you post them or anything like that, but they're really what, like, keeps your passion going for this when you're
Yeah.
cleaning like so much shit and there's like, you know, fruit flies flying into your nose and stuff and you're sweating and it's after a long day, like a 12-hour day at work and all that sort of stuff. What keeps us doing chores as a hobby? And so my escalation projects are one of those things for me, and I just like kind of beating my head against a wall. So those are the stuff I'm most excited about
That's
is
awesome.
Thistle, I think, might hit weight next season, and Ozzo will continue, and I got some new girls for him, and so just stuff like that.
That's cool. And I just realized we went way over an hour today, but it was
Sorry.
so no, but it was so informative and like so much to learn and share, which is great. And that's what this is all about, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
I
gonna
think
have to maybe we'll have you on again for Coffee and Cresties after dark, and we'll
oh,
chat some genetics.
I would love that. And like I said, I'm not a geneticist. I'll never claim that title, but I definitely enjoy it. And people know once they get me started, I was just talking to Mike yesterday or the day before or whatever it was for like 3 hours. I was just going and going and going about genetics, and yeah, they're probably like, stops.
Oh, I'm sure Mike wasn't like stop. He's like, tell me
No,
more.
he was. We were talking about his Zao project, so
Uh,
yeah, we were talking about that, about going back to basics. So I
yeah,
love it, man. As long as we can all keep learning together and not be concerned about our ego tied up with our theories
yeah,
and welcoming different perspectives. And Mike always makes fun of the fact that he's like a truck driver or whatever, but I don't care, man. Like, why would a truck driver have any less like good ideas than a herpetologist, right? So
right.
I love it, man. I love all the perspectives.
Well, my husband always jokes. He's like, "Oh, I'm just a dumb construction worker," you know. And I thought you were way more than just that. Stop putting
No,
yourself.
some of the smartest people I've met are construction workers. Some of them are PhD, like mammalogists, and some of them are construction
Yeah,
workers. So
yeah. Hey, when he brings in those architecture designs and stuff, and he's highlighting things, I'm like, I look at that and I'm like, wow,
yeah,
way beyond what I
okay.
can understand. So,
Yeah, awesome.
well, awesome. So before we close off, why don't you pimp all your links where people can find
Um,
you? Clearly
yeah.
not Facebook, you
No,
said.
not Facebook. Sorry about that. But you'll find me for the most part if you want to talk to me. Instagram is the best place to get a hold of me. I am on Palm Street. That is where I do my educational lives, and occasionally I sell a gecko here or there. I don't know, bro. But even about sales, you can contact me on Instagram. But you can follow me on Palm Street to see when I do my educational lives. They're weekly on Tuesdays as of now. Um, but I do a lot more of those than sales, and Palm Street messaging is such a nightmare. So best place to get a hold of me is Instagram under this name. I think I have it there. Ley Line Exotics, at Ley Line Exotics. That's my Instagram handle. So
That's awesome. No, thank you so much for joining us, and I really appreciate it. And definitely have to have you back on.
thank
And looking
you.
forward to seeing all the fun updates with your projects.
Thank you. Likewise. Oh, I want to see some. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm getting all drooling.
All right. Thank you so much, and I'll see you
Bye.
backstage.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks everyone who's stayed with us live for this awesome chat. For those of you who are going to be catching us on the replay, I really appreciate all the support. Heather's awesome and a wealth of knowledge, and I know I will be bugging her myself now with all these genetic questions and sharing notes and whatnot. I don't have a date yet for the next show. I know I'm not going to have one next Sunday because I am going to be. Oh, my husband's popping in, and we're still live. He thinks I'm done. um, For the next Sunday, I'm not going to be having a podcast because it's a family Christmas stuff. But I will be coming back in December, and I will share that on Instagram once we have a date and information to share with what guest is going to be coming on next. So thank you so much for sticking with us, and I will see you in the next one.
Shake your dreams from your hair. I'm already there, right beside you.